starting point of our discussion. And then you deal with the atmosphere. And you deal with the rational, the discourses that you find coming from politicians, and you understand that here we have to be committed together to say, this is us, this is the new we of our society, we have shared values, and we first, in the name of human rights, act against the atmosphere which could undermine the very meaning of our equal dignity before laws and equal dignity when it comes to implementing human rights. It means also that we have to go as far as anything which has to do with very specific situations where altogether we have to be committed to protect these equal rights. In Canada, for example, when you know the main examples that you have when it comes to Maher or when it comes to Omar now, these are situations where you can feel that there is something wrong in the perception of the other. In the name of this war on terror, in the name of Canada following in the footsteps of the current Bush administration, things are done in your name as Canadian citizens that are not respecting the human dignity of people. When you have one of your citizens being jailed and tortured and being put under such suspicion in the name of something which is a war on terror, I think that the dignity of every single Canadian citizen should be at stake. It's something which has to do the global atmosphere. This global war on terror is pushing you to accept things that are unacceptable if you will remain silent. Anything which has to do with silence, when one of your citizens, Muslim or non-Muslim, black or white, is facing something which is targeting his human dignity or his rights or her rights, is unacceptable. So we have to take it for us as something which is, we are common, we are equal citizens, we are all citizens of the same country, and we cannot accept the game, and sometimes the way states are using this atmosphere to make us accept things that are unacceptable. It's simply unacceptable. So this is the starting point of the discussion. Tell me what you accept. I will know where you stand as to human rights. Don't tell me human rights for us or democracy for us and not for the other. So the starting point is even in our country. When it comes, for example, to something which is in your society, in our societies in Europe, in the States, something which I cannot understand, that we are talking about human rights and we are not consistent here. As much as I would say to many Muslim majority countries, the way you treat the foreigners, the way you treat in the petrol monarchies the Pakistani people and the Filipinos is just unacceptable. You don't respect their dignity. You don't respect the dignity of the people, and we have to stand by saying these people have human rights and these should be accepted. It's not a question of money. It's not a question of being an Arab and not being an Arab. It's a question of being a human being. And this is the starting point. But at the same time, I live in industrialized society. I come from Europe. You live in Canada. We all know that they are still today. You know, we speak about Guantanamo. Do you know that Guantanamo is not only one Guantanamo? That there are many Guantanamos in Africa? That people are treated like nothing? That even in Europe? That in our countries, civilized countries, speaking about human rights and democracy, we have extraordinary renditions? This is just unacceptable. So we cannot sit, human rights, we have the values, we have the bad practice, you have the bad practice, when in our name, because we are told that we are protected with these kind of policies, I think that we are dealing with a complete contradiction and promoting something which is completely in contradiction with human rights when it comes to this. Extraordinary renditions when people are taken and tortured. And the second point is about torture. 53% of the Americans could accept torture. Could accept torture when it comes to protect the security of the country. Is this acceptable? Why do you think that with all these struggles in the name of human rights, a whole nation, the majority of a whole nation could say yes for torture. Why? Because of populism, because of the political discourse, because of an administration repeating and repeating, they are against us, we are under pressure, we are the victims of terrorists, and then with this rational, they have something which is accepting torture, which is the starting point of undermining the whole philosophy of human rights. If you accept torture, you mean that you are not accepting the very starting point, equal human dignity, that torture, whatever is the situation, cannot be accepted. It's by definition unacceptable. So these are things that we can understand, that we have politics here, states sometimes using this and pushing us to accept things that are in fact, in rights, unacceptable. So let me end with this. I think that if we come to this, our responsibility as students, as professors, within academia, but as citizens, it's really to be able here to come with something which is a clear discourse on human rights, with three main attitudes. And I would say it's everywhere. The first one is the only right attitude that I can find for someone promoting human rights is humility. You know what it means, humility? Is that not only I don't have all the truth, but I'm never sure that my society is implementing the right thing, that I still should be critical towards, constructively critical towards the policy promoted by my own country and my own people. And myself. Is something which is vigilance, is that we have to be humble. Humility means we are trying our best, but with my own country, I should remain vigilant. I should remain critical. Never accept something which is blindly supportive of your government, blindly supportive of the state. A critical loyalty is the only one. So humility here has to do with consistency also. But I think that when I look to some Muslims or to some people coming from the States or from Canada, even with people with Canada, we are doing very fine. Be careful. Canada is doing fine. But many things in Canada should be critically assessed, because you are treating some people in a way which is not acceptable. And sometimes following in the footsteps of the States, and it's not right. So you have to be humble, working with humility. This is the way to promote human rights. The second attitude, as I said, is consistency. Is our values and our practices in our daily life. This has to do with human rights. And I think that this is the personal and collective attitude which is expected from us. So my point is not only to give a lecture on, something which is theoretical. It's really to be practical here. What can we do at our level? So it's really humility and consistency in the way we deal with this. But to be consistent means that we are critically assessing the overall atmosphere. And I can tell you that for the last years, even the discourses in Canada have changed. The way we deal with this situation, the more positive dimension 2 years ago, is now also to be reassessed. And here we have to be humble. And having said this, the struggle when it comes to human rights is something which, once again, is essential for me, is to promote human rights means an ongoing struggle. It's not, the rights are not given like this. You have to struggle for the rights, and you have to struggle for the rights of others, so it's an ongoing process of struggling to protect them. It's never done. It's never achieved. On the social ground, on the philosophical ground, on the religious ground, on the cultural ground, it's an ongoing struggle. And this is something which is pushing every single citizen here to understand that you are responsible at the end of the day of the collective decision of your society. You cannot say, I have no power. You cannot promote democracy, live in a democracy, and then at the end say, this is the government's business. It's the business of every single citizen to strive for this with humility and consistency. Thank you.